Alrighty guys, welcome back to Shakedown First Responder Podcast with your host.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Kirsten. We're going to start this one off with the Did You Know facts. According to combatwounded.org, 22 veterans commit suicide daily, with one occurring roughly every 80 minutes, and the number is higher for special forces. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate, because the mental health care that they don't really get once getting out.
Or it's hard to get.
Or that too. I'm not going to mention any names, but a buddy of mine who was in a rural part of Arkansas had committed suicide. And when we were all talking to his wife, she was talking about, it's over a 2.5 hour drive to, or 3, I think she said, to the closest VA. And we're like, that's not acceptable.
There's not enough resources.
No.
For anybody.
So, yeah, I mean, that's a terrible statistic, but one that hopefully gets cured coming up soon, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully sooner than later. We do have a very interesting and special guest with us.
We do. We are at the Carroll County Veterans Independence Program today in Westminster, Maryland. We are talking to Jason Sidock, who's the executive director. Jason, you want to tell us a bit about yourself and why helping veterans seem to be a calling for you?
He is one of the heroes that is trying to make this better.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. I don't know that I define myself that way. I was born and raised in the military. I was a military brat. My father served for 43 years. All I knew was the military. And then after I went to college, I decided to join myself. I spent some time in the Army. I deployed. Due to that, I am a service-connected disabled veteran due to some illnesses I sustained. But what I will tell you is that what I have found, especially as the executive director, it was not planned. If you would have asked me would I have been sitting at a nonprofit helping veterans at any point in my life, I would have looked at you and just said absolutely not. After getting medically retired out of working with the government, I had been working with defense contractors and then at DARPA down in DC. And when I left there due to my injuries and headaches that I sustained on a daily basis, I found myself with not a lot to do. So I start looking around. I find the Veterans Independence Project. I start talking with them. I got involved volunteering, and then they're telling me, oh, we need executive director. We're about to have brick and mortar. We're going to start providing services. And I think the line was, you seem to be younger than the rest of us. You might be good at it. And so, yeah, that's what I did. I laughed because I said, I don't know a thing about running a nonprofit. Well, apparently I went before the board, and it was made up of individuals in the community like Ed Singer from the health department at that time, Tammy Black with Access Carroll, and several other people. And they thought I was their best candidate. So I just took the approach I would from the military or when working on special programs. You got to get it done. Whatever it is, we've got to accomplish the mission. So what we've quickly realized is that we've taken what the founders put in place, and they wanted to do 3 things, and that was help with homeless veterans. And yes, there are homeless veterans living right here in Carroll County, no matter what people want to believe.
Oh, yeah.
Come see me. We can go see them at any time. We provide services all the time. Second, help process for disability benefits, and then transportation, because like you were talking with the buddy that committed suicide, we are still an hour away from real care for veterans. Mm-hmm. Yes, we have Fort Detrick, and we're fortunate to have that, but a major hospital is either Martinsburg, West Virginia, or going to Baltimore.
Yeah.
A lot of veterans we see prefer to go to West Virginia, and then they'll have their primary care out of Fort Detrick and Frederick, so it's closer. And so, but when you look at everything, it's just like, what do you have for veterans? What do you have for care? Veterans, especially your Vietnam era, and we still have a few World War II, 2 of them that still work with us and do things, World War II era, and a couple Korean. What's available for them around here? There's nothing. Yeah. It's what do you do? So how did I get into this? It was just, I stumbled into it. Here I am. And my staff know that anyone that walks through that door, the number one thing is to ensure that they leave with dignity.
Awesome. Yeah, because I know you can go through who's VFW. Like that's when I was done on the ETS, I came home. For one of the first places I went to was a VFW, and I was just crawling with. I think I was definitely the youngest person there. It was like Korean vets, Vietnam vets, all wearing, biker jackets, and I'm like, I don't know if I belong here, but and they were, some of the best people you'll ever meet in your life. Yeah, sorry.
Super welcoming.
Yeah.
What benefits do you offer to vets, and does it matter how long they've been out of the military service?
So it does not. So as I was alluding to a minute ago, the founders had 3 pillars for us to focus on. And quickly I realized that we couldn't focus on those. And I realized that the first month that I sat in this job, and so I came in January of 21, so that's February of 21. First thing that walks through the door was an individual who needed help because stay with me on this, his ex-wife's husband stole his service support dog. So we assisted him, and what didn't fit into what the pillars were. So that's where as executive director we changed that, and the need drives the mission. So what services we offer, what can we do to help somebody? It's whatever they need. And the other thing about that is being a military brat and growing up on the bases like I did behind the wall, as they say, we always had something available for family. So one of the things we do here is it's not just about that veteran, it's the veteran and their family. So any veteran of any age, their family members can come in and we're going to assist them with whatever they're facing, and we're going to try our best to find a solution. We don't do it all ourselves. We don't have the funding for that. So we take advantage of partnerships. We work with the partners in the community. We'll get you tied in and hold your hand the whole time. I have 2 of the greatest vet advocates anywhere in the country. And what they do is we do long-term case management. We don't start you. Okay, you come in just because you need help. For instance, someone needed help getting something with a driver's license. It was a Vietnam era vet. That was his Mount Everest. He could not get past working through to get something done about a driver's license. That sounds sad, but that's just the state of some people where they're at mentally. Mm-hmm. So what happens? They sit down, they handhold him, they walk him through it with the paperwork, everything. Then we start long-term case management. There's other things that he needed, but he didn't come in and ask for that. So by checking up on him and continuing the case management, we started helping him with other services. And that's what we're about here is, one, it's about the veteran and their family, but it's also about long-term case management, because if you just help what they come in the door for, you're going to let somebody down and don't even know it.
I think that makes you just stand out alone, like different than any other agency, just because you're focusing on such a bigger spectrum of issues rather than just that one problem that they might not even want to talk about.
Correct. And it's getting them in here, helping them with that thing with the driver's license, and then they realize, oh, we've earned their trust. Now they're willing to talk about something that's a little deeper that maybe they weren't going to talk about. Mm-hmm. And that's what these vet advocates are capable of doing, and they are just great at what they do.
Yeah, especially for a veteran, because I can't imagine it's easy for anybody to talk about anything when it comes to what they've experienced, but especially just to trust somebody you don't know.
Yeah, especially when I got out, I went to Baltimore. It was some clinic. It was by Morgan State.
Lock Raven?
Yeah. So I go there and I felt more like a number.
Yeah.
Than anything else.
We're seeing that with, I don't want to be disparaging when I say something, but when you're talking about some of the other organizations in Carroll, you're seeing just that. People go in, they try to make an appointment, it's 2 to 3 weeks away, they go there, they feel like a number, because I'm not saying the folks don't care, because I think anywhere you go that VSO or someone's providing veteran service, I think they care. Mm-hmm. It's just that this is my job to process you for A. We don't go on to B and C. Come back, make an appointment for B, and we'll talk about that. We're here, it's get you in the door, go through everything, talk about it, you've got to attack everything at all angles. Mm-hmm. Some people believe that if it's a homeless issue, well, you've got to get them back in a home, in a living environment that they feel safe before you can move on to the next step. That's not my approach, and that's not my staff's approach. Our approach is you're going to attack everything at once. I take a military approach to it. You can't just take out that one little position. You've got to be looking at the whole battlefield. So the whole battlefield is that person in front of you and every need they have, and you've got to start working on them simultaneously.
What do you think like the ratio is that comes in like looking for help age-wise? Is it a large spectrum or is it just depends on the day?
I'm gonna say we're probably about a 60%. I wish I had stats in front of me, but we're probably about 60, maybe 70% Vietnam era. We do have 2 World War II veterans and a handful of Korean era. Now, lately we've gotten the younger generation. I'm obviously not Vietnam era. I'm Bosnia, so they put me in the Gulf War era, and then you're seeing those from the desert. And so you come down, and it's interesting because there's different needs. Your Vietnam era veterans have no idea about what's available to them. Mm-hmm. They have no idea on that these things were there, and they don't even know what VA is sometimes because they were never told about it. I mean, look at how they came home.
Yeah, they're treated like shit.
Take your uniform off, don't wear it, you go
Frowned
home.
upon.
Some of them never even told their new spouse or their spouse when they got married that I was in the Army. And so now you're having these problems which are all related back to Vietnam, and you could have been getting assistance for these all along. Mm-hmm. So it's a different spectrum. We do find that our younger veterans are more apt to say, yes, how can I get help through VA? How can I get this?
More open to it.
And then more open.
Which is good.
We had a lieutenant that worked in the sheriff's office with us. And I remember when I first started working there, one of the stories he told me was when he first got married to his high school sweetheart. He was in the Army. I forgot what he did, but it was back in the 80s, and he was still in, and he wanted to get married, to his wife. Yeah, they go to the church, and they're like, "Well, what are you gonna wear?" He's like, "My Class A's. I'm a suit."
Nice.
And they're like, "You can't wear that in this church."
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like,
wow.
Really? It was that bad back then? He's like, yeah. I was like, wow. Wouldn't have known. But I mean, from all the stories I've heard, it does check out.
We do something called Vet Talk, and you'll get a lot of Vietnam veterans, but we get together every third Thursday and have Vet Talk, and we eat, and then we just let the conversation go where it may. And you'll hear some of those stories because they'll open up because they're amongst brothers and sisters that are going to know their story or understand it. And you'll hear some of that about how they were treated, and it's just amazing. It just blows me away that we ever treat people, our heroes, like that. Anytime I get a chance to go out and I speak, and at Veterans Day I seem to get to do that quite a bit. I was the keynote at the hospital a year ago. I was the keynote for the university here, McDaniels, this past year. And I find myself talking to Vietnam veterans a lot on Veterans Day. And then I'll go into it's more low key than those type of speeches, but you'll go into the senior living homes to help do a pinning, they do a pinning ceremony. And that's a lot of Vietnam era veterans in the homes. And I see the family and the grandkids and stuff, and I make a point to say, your soldier is a hero. Mm-hmm. And I talk about that in anything I say for those few minutes. And I see people going up afterwards and they're saying, thanks for being a hero, Grandpa. And it's just, they need to hear that and be reminded of that, because no matter what, they were heroes. They went and did what our country asked them to do.
Yeah, and they're not getting the acknowledgement that they deserve.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is there any specific VA clinic that you work with?
So we don't work directly with any specific clinic. One of the things that we do is veterans come in needing assistance, and if they're not enrolled in VA healthcare, that's one of the things we want to get them enrolled in. There's so many reasons for that, because it financially, you can start getting your prescriptions. You can, and if you aren't over, don't quote me on this, I think it's 60%. If you're not over 60% disabled through VA, then you'll pay a copay. But the highest copay you're paying is $11. Compared to what some people can go out there and pay $1,000 a month for medicine. That's a big change in their lifestyle when we can get them enrolled and have it cut down on what they would be paying for that. Then if you get to be over 60, you're not paying anything. And I hope 60 is the mark. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's just a life changer. So we work a lot. I personally use Martinsburg. So I go to West Virginia there, and then I go to Frederick for my primary care, and we give them the options. And We might point people towards that, but we let them make their own decision. We've heard some people love Baltimore. Others tell you don't go near it. I'm one of those that I've had to go down there once and I don't want to go back. I'll go to Martinsburg or I'll go to right here to Frederick all day long.
And how far is Martinsburg from here?
Martinsburg is probably a little bit longer. It can take you about an hour and 15.
So it's still far.
It is. Nothing's within an hour. But you go to Baltimore, they're all within, like 60 something miles. But you go to Baltimore and you're spending that time in traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There is.
Somewhere to park.
Yes.
The waiting rooms are, especially the one on Green Street in Baltimore.
Yes.
It's huge.
Really?
Yes.
Like packed full.
So one of the reasons I stopped going to the VA in 2013, I didn't go for 5 years. One was because I had one of the psych doctors that was talking to me, and the guy never looked at me.
Really?
It was just, his head was in his computer, and he was doing this the whole time. Just typing away. So then I'm like, you know what? This guy doesn't even know who I am. He's just hearing these stories and prescribing whatever that I really, honestly, at the point, at that time, I didn't need. And then I wound up getting another doctor, and I told her about it. And this was in York VA clinic.
Okay.
Up in Pennsylvania. So I talked to her and I told her the whole story. And I said, and you can go, he still works here. I'm like, you can go ask him. Ask him what I look like. What color hair do I have? What color eyes do I have? Do I come in looking dirty or clean? Ask him anything about me. White, black, he wouldn't know. He was just in his computer the entire time. And I'm like, you don't feel like a person that's coming back from something traumatic. You feel like a number. And that was the worst part. The other was when they called me. So they called me, the one in Baltimore calls me. And, it was Lebanon in PA. They call me, which is like, Lebanon's like, well, so it's like almost 2 hours away. Like an hour or 45, something like that. And they call me and they say, Mr. Andrews, you need to get here as soon as possible. There's something wrong with your kidneys. This can't wait. Stop what you're doing right now. Get in your car and come down here. And I get down there, and the whole drive down there, I'm with my ex-wife, and I'm shaking. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And he's like, oh, sorry, it was wrong guy.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you kidding me?
How do you even mess that up?
I don't know. Yeah, pretty easily, I guess.
The mental strain.
You already mentally messed up.
Yeah, that ruined me. So that was 2013. So I completely stopped. I was like, I'm going to go through my own primary care, through my own insurance, through the county, and I'm just going to do it that way. And then I wound up kind of finding my way back to the VA just for some appointments, not all, but.
And that's a good mix, and sometimes it works, but got to get you in here to talk to our vet advocates, and let's get you into Frederick, get you a good primary care over there. I think you'll see a difference.
I hope so.
And if you just give us that chance.
Whenever for either of you guys, whenever you got out of the military, is there even an explanation of who you can go to for mental health, or where the groups are at, or anything like that? Or is it just frowned upon to even talk about?
So I got out before you, I'm sure. So when I got out in, say, early, right around 2000, 2001, no, there was nothing. Prior to me, nothing was happening. They do something when people are getting out where they're supposed to be going through and telling you this. But the truth of the matter is, you're processing out. That last week of sitting around in class after class, PowerPoint after PowerPoint, you're not paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
I had a father who was still in, and he's the one that said, here's what you need to do. And that's the only reason I knew. Prior to me, they didn't tell them anything. They probably didn't know what VA was.
Mm-hmm.
Now your generation may be a little different, and I know today they are trying to help you get put in for certain VA disability benefits before you get out.
Yeah, I think they are doing a little bit more now. I got out in 2011, like the beginning of 2012, something like that. And so for my first tour, like overseas in Iraq, just destroyed me. And then I get stop lost on my second one, and they're like, "We know you wanted to go home, but
Wow.
you're an E5, we need you, and you're not going anywhere. You're going to do another tour." And I'm like, okay, well, there's obviously nothing I can possibly do to get this. I mean, I might as well, start training my guys now to, be the best they can freaking be while we're over there, so that nothing happens. We all make it back. But when I got out, just from being stop lost, they only give you about 3 months. This is what they gave me, 3 months to get out. Because my time had actually stopped while I was in Iraq. And they just kind of kept me on, and 3 months went to classes, did the PowerPoint until you die.
That's PowerPoint.
What's even in the PowerPoints though?
It's don't beat your wife, don't shake a baby, don't beat pregnant women, don't be homeless, and don't do drugs.
So no help whatsoever.
That's all common sense stuff.
They did cover, VA, and they cover a lot of that information, but you're losing that because you put all this other nonsense, and people aren't really focused on it.
Mm-hmm. They're focusing on just transitioning into a civilian lifestyle alone is like, I can't imagine what that's like.
And that's part of what we offer here is it's how do you help get someone who's transitioning, because it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just automatically come back, and we've been able to help a couple of young guys who have gotten out and help them understand here's the way you kind of get back into things. And that's our ultimate goal of getting the barracks up and running, so that we would actually have a place that if a transitioning soldier or homeless needed a place to stay, that they would have a place that they could stay while we got them through things and got them back on their feet. Because you take a 18-year-old kid who signs up to go into the military. Now you're a man or a woman, whether you want to be or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's say they only stay in for 4 years. Well, here they are 22 getting out. They've never had to pay a bill. Well, okay, maybe a cell phone, maybe a car payment, maybe. But they didn't have a house payment. They didn't have to worry about food. They could go eat fast food wherever they want, but they could eat in chow hall.
Yeah.
Told what to wear, told what to do. Now you get out and go, here's life. And you're just 22.
And you're still a child.
Yes.
Like you're still learning how to even go about life.
Yeah, I think we had a 5-minute PowerPoint on just that. And I'm like, and that was like towards the end of the day when I'm like trying not to fall asleep.
Well, then on top of that, any deployments, you have to deal with that aspect. But now you're faced with the reality of, what do you mean I got to pay electricity? What do you mean I got to get this? I got to do that. I got a house payment. And then I'm dealing with anything from deployments.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It sucks. It definitely sucks. But yeah, one of the you had said that you guys have a gala coming up. I did see that you were at McDaniel College. You guys are doing a lot of stuff out and about in the community in Carroll County, not just Westminster, but just around the county, which is freaking awesome, and I love that.
If I can interrupt you for a
Go
moment,
ahead.
we do stretch. We're in the process now of rebranding because of the name is Carroll County Veterans Independence Project. Well, that's going to go away, and it's no longer going to have Carroll County because we've never just stopped at the county border.
Okay.
Right now, I was just on the phone last week with the Congressman's office out of Ohio helping a veteran. And we started congressional there to get him some help because he got retired out of the service, and they sent him an LES, but they never paid him for his 60 days of leave that he had on the books. So it's getting the Congress. It doesn't matter where you're at. We've helped people in Texas, Louisiana, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. So the answer here is wherever you need help and whatever you need, we're going to help you.
Wow.
So just to say that, yeah, we go wherever.
Have you come across like other organizations whenever you're speaking to other people like in other states, or are you just like noticing that you're the only one that's doing what you're doing?
There are a lot of great organizations like us out there. I mean, just here in Carroll County. So you have the county veterans program who they're helping you process for benefits. But because they're intertwined and they are staff members of citizen services, they can also, like us, help you get into the county services. But I don't find that they're doing what we do. You come in the door and maybe you just need to sit down and have a place to hang out or talk to somebody. We have a day room. Anyone who's been in the military knows there's a day room. And you go in, you can put TV on, get coffee, get something to drink, sit down, charge your phone, do whatever you want. Someone will come in and talk with you, and they're not here for an appointment, they're just here to sit. We got guys that just need a place to come to because they need something to do. And okay, what do you want to do? Well, hey, I'll help sweep floors, I'll do anything you want. And then we get them involved on the computer, just doing something. Because they want to feel, so there's organizations like us all over. We're not the only one, we're not the first one. It's just how far are you willing to go when it comes to where's the compassion? It's one thing to say we have all these services. It's another thing to put them into practice. And that's where I think the two vet advocates I've got, Nicole and Christina, I think that's where they put it into practice. And my staff knows my policy is we don't say no. So if you walk in the door, we got to figure out a way to help you.
That's
Which is awesome. Yeah. I think it says a lot. Just considering, I think not even just in the military, but like law enforcement alone, there's not that kind of community where you can just go and be comfortable and be treated like a human being, like it's definitely a frowned upon.
Well, and to your point there, to tie in, so first I'll do a backup and then I'll tie into that. Like for instance, as I had talked about, you always had life behind the wall. You always had something going on. This giant tree at the end of our parking lot, when you leave, if you look out there, we light that up every year in red, white, and blue. So we do a tree lighting, and we had 85 to 100 people here. Not this past year because it was the coldest day of the year. We had only about 50 and we were all inside, and then we go outside for the tree lighting real quick. But you'll get 85 to 100 people there. We've got volunteers that come together. The first year we called for our volunteers to help do baked goods. We had 72 dozen baked goods. Now we didn't need quite that many because we didn't know what to do with them all, but we backed that off and then we got 54. So the bottom line is they'll come together, they'll bake these, we'll have different things, we get together for the tree lighting, and it's just a way for them to come together and have that, just hang out. We're not asking you for money, we're not asking you for, just come and hang out. And it's amazing how many veterans show up for that, as well as community people. And that makes the veterans, they love that. They love just, we're gonna be doing Vietnam War Veterans Day. That's in March 29th. And we're gonna be doing that right here where we're gonna honor our Vietnam veterans like we have done every year that I've been executive director. And it's just a chance to say thank you, you're heroes. And we'll get 80, 85 again. We'll get good 75, 85 people here just to show up to help do that. And of course our Vietnam era veterans, they love getting, last year we gave out a P-38. If you're not familiar with what a P-38 is, it's a little can opener that was used in Vietnam to open C rations. So every Vietnam vet knew exactly what that was, and they just thought that was the best gift you could ever give them.
That is super cool.
And of course, we threw out the challenge to their spouses and said, tonight, make them open up the cans for dinner with that. And so you have fun and make them feel like they're part of it. Now, tying in to something you said, the mental health. We're fortunate to have Nicole here. Nicole has, she's certified mental health counselor. She's working for her second set of credentials and what she's under supervision, but she's currently seeing folks every week. And what we've extended is to our first responders, because just like our veterans, our first responders are on all the time. We were talking a little bit before the show. You've got our veterans, we go away and we come back, we get to decompress. The first responders never decompress. They're on every day. Whether you're coming home as a firefighter, whether you're coming home and hanging up your pistol, you are on. So they need that assistance. And if anyone's looking for mental health assistance, we are providing that to first responders as well as our military veterans at no cost. Nothing here is a cost. And of course, it's there's never insurance involved. It's always just making sure that you take care of the individual.
Which, I mean, that makes you guys stand out because you're like you said, you have the compassion, but you also are offering the time for somebody to come in and just do what they need to do.
Yeah, and you don't say no, but you could have said no to us.
Yeah, you could have.
It would have been all right. One thing we see kind of the other darker part of the veteran crisis when we're in the jail. One of the things, there's a guy, I'm blanking honestly on his first name. His last name was Johnson. He wound up overdosing and died. But he was a OIF veteran, OEF veteran. He had, what did he have? It's something, we had to wake him up. And he was down in a work release unit. And when I woke him up, that dream that he came out of, I recognized right away. So, I take him, I'm walking with him for a little bit. I take him up to medical, and he sees my, little wristband. I've got tattoos all over the place. And he's like, what were you in? I was in the Army, for a little bit. And he's like, I was, Marines. And then after that, I went out and started doing transport. I worked with the transport unit. So I was in every single county in the state. For court, for substance abuse, dropping people off, picking people up, stuff like that. And I noticed in a couple of these different places, the sheriff's office, some of the police had little pins, what service they were in. So I took it to the FOP, Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this guy, Hill, that was running our side of the FOP. And I brought it up in a meeting and they were like, I love it. Work on it. So I went through all these different pin companies. Took forever. I went and I talked to the sheriff. He was 100% on board with it. Loved it. So that's what we have now. So that these guys, when they come in, they know, especially the guys that have been through some stuff,
identify with it.
I'm a combat vet from the Army. Yeah, you might be Marines or Navy, Air Force, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can talk to me. I'm somebody you can talk to, and we've got a lot of vets that work over at the jail, work over, especially with the sheriff's office as a whole.
You do, and I was aware of that program. Sheriff DeWeese and I had discussed that, and I think we're very fortunate here to have someone like Sheriff DeWeese because he wants to make sure that we can help veterans. I mean, my agency has had to call on them to help go do a health and welfare check because we've got a veteran making comments about harming themselves. And he's absolutely, let's jump on this. He's also given us access to veterans who come in and who are in the jail and they're not doing so well. Yeah. But we also know that that's not where they need to be, is in jail. I've been in the court system, and to help advocate for some of these veterans. Once again, I was an LP in the Army. I'm law and order. I'm never going to say, because we're a veteran, cut us a break. I will say, how about we do some mandatory counseling or mandatory, send them to someplace and make sure they can go through a program and then let them serve their jail time, or do something in lieu of. But let's not just throw them in a jail without the assistance they need, especially on the mental health side. And we've been very successfve at that.
Yeah, there's a place in Cecil County. I'm blanking on the name of the hospital, but I've had to take guys out there that were vets, and they do run a program for substance abuse, mental health. So he got done doing all that. I only had to come back to jail for a week, finish out some, bunk sentence, and then That was it.
And
Outdoor and haven't seen him since. Perfect.
And you hope that with that, they're able to get back into society and realize and with the help that they need. And unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. You have repeat offenders, as you guys are very much aware. But getting them that help, helping them get through it, it does so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You guys did the first Veterans Day parade in Westminster. I went. I took my kids.
Awesome.
It was awesome. I loved it. As soon as I saw it on, because I was following you guys on Facebook or X or something, whatever it was, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're actually going to do one? It's super cool. And I told my kids, and they're like, well, are they going to have food there? And I'm like, man, shut up. You're going with me, okay? You just walk with me.
I have to say to you, that was, how that came about was very interesting. Because first off, yes, I live Westminster, but I don't. I live I live way out here in the country past the airport. So can't believe that Westminster has never had a Veterans Day parade.
That actually blows my mind
Yeah.
because I feel like that's a very common parade, especially in small towns.
Yeah.
Memorial Day, yes, we have one of the oldest in the country, but Veterans Day, Mayor Becker, she had the staff go back and look. They cannot find one recorded ever.
That is it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
We kind of push it all 4th of July, Veterans, or Memorial Day, just kind of like,
It's all one.
and I have to give a huge shout out to Mayor Becker and to Councilmember Travacci and the rest of the city council because, they budget and there's quite a bit of money spent, law enforcement, ensuring that any parade can happen. So they budget for these parades, and I forget the dollar figure, but it's somewhere around $13,000, I think, is what goes into overtime and getting everything done. So and we did this in conjunction with the Masonic Lodge here in town.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, hey, we're going to do a Veterans Day parade. They said, we want to help you. So the two organizations, we came together and we hosted it. But we met with Mayor Becker, and this was like a month and a half, 2 months before November. And we're talking about some other things. And I said, oh, by the way, we want to do a Veterans Day parade. What do you think? She goes, absolutely, I love it. I mean, she didn't even think about it. So then later that day, I get a text and she says, were you talking this year? And I said, yeah, we got time.
10 years down the road.
So we jumped together, and what the volunteers, the help from the Masonic Lodge, and what folks did, I believe they pulled off one heck of a parade for that short. I mean, we had over 50 participants in the parade. The sidelines were not as busy as Memorial Day, but we had quite a few people out there. We believe this next year it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah.
We got groups contacting us. Like I said, we had 53 participants. We got groups contacting saying, well, we didn't know about it. We want to be involved. So we're going to really turn Veterans Day. Memorial Day is all great, but it's a different mentality.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Memorial Day there is to really reflect and honor the fallen.
Mm-hmm.
Veterans Day is a day of celebration.
Yeah, it's more
Let's
of a solemn
celebrate. So we're looking forward to this year.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, especially some of these World War II vets are not going to be around much longer.
Correct.
It's unfortunate, but I think that's, timing is everything. And I think you getting that done and the way you got it done, I think it was fantastic. It was awesome. I loved it.
Everyone did a great job.
Yeah, I wanted to see if maybe this coming one we could set up, she and I, and just do a podcast there at the parade.
Awesome. It's
That
done.
would be awesome.
Book it. You're done.
Everyone's
I'm making a note now.
He always says
everyone's
yes.
story.
That's
He
right.
always says
That's
yes.
right.
Yeah, you can't say no, especially when it's live recorded.
It's not live. We're not live. We learned our lesson with YouTube live.
Oh, really?
That is true. Only had a few followers, but that's okay.
One thing I did want to ask, therapy dogs, is that something you guys would ever be open to?
So, absolutely. But I will tell you one of the things I've learned stepping into this role is there's no way I can ever secure the kind of funding to do everything.
Yeah.
So I don't try to. But once again, you've heard me mention partners. We're fortunate to have some great partners. And there's several therapy dog organizations out there that, whether it be service dog, therapy dog, because it's a different type of training, we work with multiple organizations to assist someone in getting a dog. Because I had working dogs. I had my Shepherd. Now I've got my Malinois, and it's just part of. I think that's a big stress relief just for me. So they're not trained dogs; they're just pets. But I believe that there's so many veterans and individuals that benefit from having that therapy dog and that companion dog to help them through things. So we work with several organizations to help get that in place.
Cool.
What can we expect from years to come? What are you guys planning? Other than all of everything that we have talked about so far.
Sorry. Before we get into that, I did want to talk about the vet talk. You said it's not every Thursday,
every third Thursday.
Every third Thursday at the American Legion in Hampstead.
Well, no, we bounce around. Normally we're right here in the conference room we're in today, but with construction supposedly have been starting over the several months, but now getting ready to start for sure in the next week, we haven't been able to be here. Post 31 has hosted us multiple times. Now American Legion 200 out in Hampstead said, hey, we'll have you out here. Awesome. So we're going to go out there, and they're gracious guests, want to have us, and they're going to do burgers and hot dogs, and we will normally, like Mission Barbecue takes care of November every year. Roadhouse wants to take care of a month this year. Outback wants to do a month, and so we always do something. We'll have the guys. I'll tell you, it's really funny when this thing first started, and one of our founders, Frank Valenti, is the one who came up with Vet Talk, and he said, "Let's do Vet Talk." So it started, and it would be just 2 or 3 of us in the room, and that's it. And so he would. It grew to where we'll have over 50 guys and gals in there, and that's what we're at. And they would come in. We start at 6. They'll show up right at 6. They'll show up right at 3:50. Grab their food. We're not getting started back then until like 6:30. No, not anymore. They are in the door by 5:15, grabbing their chow. They want to sit down and they want to start at 6 o'clock.
That's cool.
And it's just amazing watching guys who, if someone comes in and we won't tell them this, but it's therapy. They just don't know it.
Oh, it's 100% therapy.
It really
is.
You'll get a guy, he's got his head down, his hands on his head, not saying much. He'll have 15 people going up to him saying, hey man, you hope to come back. Just talking to him. Last month, and this is the one that floored me, but last month we had a gentleman who had lost his wife on Sunday. He comes into Vet Talk on Thursday. And he comes up to me, he's crying, he's still, it's still hard on him. And he says, hey, I just want you to know I lost my wife Sunday. And I'm like, what are you doing here? He says, this is the only place I wanted to be. Yeah. So it's just amazing. So we made sure we mentioned it. The guys folks are talking about, let's do lunch, let's do that. They just come together.
Yeah.
But it's really a place that people can share. And we've had guys just break down and share their story. We have a Navy Cross recipient. I won't say his name, but he's an individual that comes and he's been coming in. He's really not come here for any services. He hasn't needed anything from us, but he comes in because he comes to Vet Talk. He was our honorary Grand Marshal at the parade. And so, but he's one that he has just broke down and shared his story with us inside this room. And he, and you look at him, if you're not familiar, for those listening, the Navy Cross is the second highest honor you can receive if you're in the Marines or the Navy. Yeah. The only thing higher is Congressional Medal of Honor.
Yeah, I think it's no joke.
I would say he's probably the highest decorated individual live in Carroll County, because we do have Medal of Honor recipients who are past that live in Carroll, but he's probably the highest. And that should be honored. Mm-hmm. And out of Vietnam, that was not that was not Club Med, it was rough. No. So very interesting people, very interesting, but he has no problem. He'll get him share his story and just tell you. And it took a lot. He tells you. And now we get him going to events, and it's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole talk therapy thing, I'm 100% behind that. Even just doing this for me, I know it's just a hobby, but if you go look at our YouTube page or our TikTok page, I share some more stories.
It's an outlet.
Nothing that's like too R-rated or too extreme, but you know, I've shared some personal stories on there that I've gotten a lot of feedback from, especially from, you know, guys I served with, who I'm still in contact with. There's a lot of, even on Spotify, a lot of people that watch us that are vets.
Nice.
A lot of them live here in the county. You know, I would love for them to show up March 20th.
Be awesome.
I'll try to get this episode out as soon as I can.
All right.
There really shouldn't be much editing to do or anything like that.
March 20th, 6 p.m.
Yeah. So anything else in the years to come
So
from you guys?
when I was brought on board, I had a 5-year plan, and the 5-year plan was what I'm going to call the farm. And what that is going to be where we would just find us a 20, 30 acre plot of land, farm, and open up the farm. And that would be, you would start with building a barrack style facility, and then ultimately chow hall, services, and then putting in tiny homes. Yeah, there's some, you know, Carroll County currently doesn't allow zoning for tiny homes. So, you know, we'll build cabins or we'll build whatever to meet the zoning laws. But what you would do is find that for transitioning veterans. You come in, you go into the barracks, you go through intake, you agree to the program, you start in a program. And that program is what we're doing for right now. We've got 2 veterans, a Navy and a Marine, that live in Tent City right now. They've lived there all through the winter because their words, not mine. I would rather live here, and it's been a brutal winter. I'd rather live in this tent than they'll go to the homeless shelter.
Wow.
That's a sad thing
It's
when you
dangerous.
feel that way.
It's very dangerous.
I'm slotted to go down and have lunch with them. I'm taking steaks down and they're going to cook them, and I think I'm supposed to take some sort of peanut butter dessert because that's their favorite.
Cool.
So, you know, it's just, or we take them supplies, they come in, but if they walked in the door right now, you would know they were homeless. They keep themselves very clean, maintained. And so back to that whole farm idea, they wouldn't be living in tents. Instead, they wouldn't be, you know, folks are couch surfing. It's just, they got enough things going on. You shouldn't have to worry about that. So with the farm, we would be able to help get them and try to transition to the tiny home and then just eventually out the door and on their own. You know, we help people process for HUD VASH vouchers, and then you get them out there and then they can afford an apartment, and you start seeing their life turn around.
Yeah.
So that was the goal. 4 years just passed in January. Opportunity came up this past year to, it was through Senator Van Hollen's office, and they had reached out working because they had worked with us on helping a veteran that they started reading up on us. They invited us to put in for earmarks. And so that's, you know, congressionally funded, and it's through discretionary funding that's done up through, you have to be sponsored in and making. So we were actually in the 25 budget for $3.6 million. The problem is that they didn't pass a budget this year. They did a long-term CR, so none of the earmarks are in that. We were going to take that $3.6 million and build a building or purchase a building that was big enough to allow us to start doing other services. Now, I just got the email, matter of fact, just over the weekend, and his office has said that being with what's happened, they are opening it back up for me to reapply for this year's budget, or for the budget they'll start working on to pass, hopefully, you know, October 1.
Awesome.
That would be awesome.
So we're going to do that, and now by doing that, the building you're in right now, we have a $250,000 bond bill that was gotten for us by our local delegation, Senator Reedy and the delegates. That would allow us to turn this building into the barracks. So we would overnight be able to transition into the new building once it's built or purchased and remodeled. And then this would become barracks so that you could actually house transitioning veterans and or those that are in need. And we would have family style rooms and such.
That's awesome.
So that's part of what you're about to see. They're going to knock some walls down. They're putting in a shower. They're putting in a full kitchen, washer and dryer. So we're making moves. We're going to keep doing what we do to help veterans and those that need it.
Well, thank you so much for what you guys do. I know it's not just you, it's everybody
We have a
here.
great staff.
But veteran,
It needs to be recognized.
veteran from Carroll County, I 100% appreciate everything that you guys are doing and what you're trying to do. And I thought this went great. You got anything else?
I'm just, it's amazing. Like, thank you for what you do. It should get recognized.
Well, thank you too, and just anyone out there listening. If you need help getting VA disability benefits, actually, I could go down the list, but let's just go back to our motto: the need drives the mission. If you need help with anything, come in. If you've been turned down before, come in and talk to my vet advocates. I got guys that have been told by Maryland State VA, we don't recommend you appeal. You have 80%, take it, that's good enough. And now that's not, because they're entitled to what they're entitled to. They come in here and the vet advocates have gotten them 100%.
Which is amazing.
So let's not accept no for an answer. Let's just keep pushing, and what's the harm? And we usually get great results.
Awesome. That is awesome. Got anything else?
I mean, honestly, I could go like another
All day.
2, 3, 4 hours, maybe something like that.
And
But
come back.
yeah,
Anytime. And I'm putting you down for the parade.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
well, definitely
That would
do.
be amazing.
All right.
That would be definitely amazing. And an all day thing.
yeah, we work nights, so anytime during the day, we're good.
Perfect.
We just
We'll
have
make it
to-
happen.
Clock in a little bit of sleep, but
All right.
it's always doable.
Alrighty, guys. This has been Shakedown First Responder Podcast.
I'm Mike.
I'm Kirsten. Stay safe.
Stay patriotic.